Mr. Director, Democrats, and I know you know this, some never Trump Republicans, are salivating over a new report first obtained by the New York Post. Miranda Devine, she came on last night, talked about it, that takes aim at the FBI under your leadership and that of your deputy, Dan Bongino. So you had current, some former FBI staffers, all anonymous, put together this 115-page report. And now there was some very positive stuff in there, but the overall read was that the agency had become rudderless and that you're more focused on your social media than doing your job. Now, I assume that these are just bitter deep staters, but what is your general reaction to these concerns raised about the state of the FBI 10 months into the Trump administration, part 2?
Yeah, look, anonymous sources always lie, results don't. I'll get to the results in a second. These anonymous sources were individuals from the Comey Ray era that weaponized the Department of Justice and cratered the public trust in the FBI to something that was at levels that has never been seen. 35% public trust in the FBI when we came in 10 months ago. And now we're to believe that these anonymous sources are the ones accusing this FBI, the most successful in history, of being rudderless? Let's just look at the results. If we were so rudderless and we sent our mission out into the country and around the world, how would we have arrested 25,000 violent felons this year alone? That's twice as many as last year alone. How would we have arrested 35% more spies from Russia, China, and Iran than last year alone? How would we have found 6,000 children and identified them? That's up 22% from last year alone. We have taken down criminal networks and those that wish to do harm to our children. We have arrested in the 764 category, the nihilist violence extremist network, a 590% increase on those who wish to prey on our children. Those are just some examples, and I haven't even gotten to the monumental success on fentanyl, where we shut off precursors from China and have seized enough fentanyl, 22% increase this year alone, enough to kill 127 million Americans. We're crushing violent crime. We're defending the homeland. When Dan and I got here, it was a rudderless ship. But we re-executed this mission. We defanged the weaponization that corrupted it. We jettisoned those like these anonymous sources in this reporting, and all they have to talk about is anonymous sources and jackets and leather patches. They can have that all day long. The mission of this FBI is to serve the American people, and we are doing it at a level that has never been done before because of the leadership we have here, and thanks to President Trump's sweeping victory that demanded this place be rid of weaponization and put it back on a course to prosecuting criminals, investigating criminals, and putting away terrorists. And that's what we are doing every single day here.
You're watching CramerSez.
Well, that's what he's saying. Kash Patel, he never misses an opportunity to get in front of a camera and tell you what he's been doing. Welcome to the show. My name is Kramer. It's the CramerSez Project. It's Tuesday, December 2nd. And wow, the smear that we see going on right now with Kash Patel, and that's what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a smear. It seems awfully reminiscent of the 51 former intelligence officials, doesn't it? These men and women coming forward saying that what he's doing at the FBI is get the ship rudderless. They're trying to undermine his authority by doing what they're doing. The exact same thing that they did right before the election. Remember that? When these former officials, so concerned about our nation and making sure that we know what's going on, they came to the Biden's rescue and said, that looks like Russian information. Yeah, that's a Russian disinformation campaign over there. That's what's going on. It's got all the appearances and the hallmark looks. We're the experts. We're the pros. We've seen this our entire lives. This is exactly how they do it, knowing all the time that they were lying to you. So when I hear that you've got former officials who will not go on the record, won't tell you their names, don't want to put I'm putting my name on the line every day. Every time I do this, there's somebody out there, whether it be in the government or some crazy wacko, who's giving me death threats and saying, if you continue saying what you're saying, my mom died because you unvaccinated people. Every day, folks, every day. Let me be real blunt here. Even though this is a smear campaign, and we can see it for what it is, and it's clear, and we should say congratulations to Kash and Bongino. Sorry, they just put something here in front of me. That Kash and Bongino, congratulations on what you've done, guys. I'm excited that we have 25,000 violent felons off the streets. That gets you a kudos. And I'm excited that we've got 35 more spies, 35% more spies out of circulation in this country. That gets you an attaboy, right? And the 6,000 kids, that's awesome. Let's find more. But here's the thing. These are just stats. They're just stats. And they're the stats of what we expect you to do in your job. Coming on to the Laura Ingraham angle and bragging about your job and what you're doing. Yes, you're doing better than what they were doing when Joe Biden was in charge, but that's what we hired you for. We hired you because of what you said going into the election. You remember that? What you were going to do once given power. You're bragging about all these things. You're bragging about everything that you're doing. You know what you're not bragging about? You're not bragging about the things that you promised that you'd get done for us. That's what you're not bragging about. You can brag about all the other bullshit all day long. Cash, Bongino, Bondi, and the rest of you. When you were out on the campaign trail begging for our votes, you said, when we get power, we're going to hold these motherfuckers accountable. That's what we wanted to see. Have we seen that yet? We have not seen that yet. Have not. The duo made a lot of promises. They were going to do a lot of stuff if we gave them authority, if we gave them power. And out of all the people that we sent there with, they're going to go do some stuff, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard. We knew that these people, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, they had all made promises of what they were going to do. And the only people in the Trump administration that are delivering on the promises that they made are the former Democrats. Let that sink in for a moment, folks. The Republicans, the red through and through Republicans, not doing what they said that they were going to do. They're not moving. Folks, there's those of you right now that I know that are saying, oh, you don't understand, Kramer. You don't get it. It takes time to do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. You see, what you don't understand is the timing of all of this. If they don't get certain things in place by a certain time, nothing will ever happen to these people, ever. For example, the Comey deal. Did you see how close it was? Trump had to finally say something to these lazy motherfuckers to get them off their ass to charge Comey. Why? Well, because there were charges that were drifting away with the statute of limitations. These motherfuckers were just going to let them slide on by. How do we know? Because unless Trump had said something, nothing was going to happen. We're 7 days out. They are not delivering on the promises that they said that they were going to deliver on when we voted them in. You see, it's a package deal. Yeah, I like Trump, but I want that guy as FBI director, and now I want that person as AG. Matt Gaetz should be the AG. Pam Bondi sucks. Sorry to tell you this if you're fans, but I'm not a fan. I'm not seeing what we were told we were going to see. Oh, it takes time. No, it doesn't take 2 years. You see, that's the path we're on right now. We're getting ready to get into the primaries. Let me explain how this works in politics. Do you know what everybody's doing right now? They're trying to close things up and make sure that this next government shutdown doesn't fuck up Christmas and New Year's Eve celebrations. That's what our people in Congress are trying to do. They're trying to make sure that they're going to be able to be home when everything's going on. Have no concerns about what's going on with you, government, and anything else. They don't care about the shutdown other than they want to be home. So they're going to do whatever they got to do to make that happen. Do you think anything is happening in government right now? Absolutely not. They're getting ready for the holidays. That's what they're doing. They're trying to see if they can avert another shutdown. Kick that can down the road just a little bit further. We're just weeks away from that. But what the people we sent there to do are doing is not doing what they said they were going to do. Let's just go through some of these promises, and we'll catch you up on where Kash is. Now, I'm not going to tie these to Bongino. Bongino didn't make these promises. These came from Kash. But I want to run through these real quick and explain what he promised he was going to do on day one. Get started. I have a conclusion with this. I'll tell you what the conclusion is at the end, but you're going to have to understand that some things are in play here, and you're going to have to wrap your head around the fact that people in place may not be the ones that we thought they were. That they may be more of Manchurian candidates or go-alongs to get-alongs, just like we had in the past. They're a little bit more aggressive. They've got things they can brag about, but they're not delivering on the things that they promised to deliver on. For example, Kash Patel, before he was anointed, said that he was going to fire the top ranks of the FBI. Have you seen that happen? No. There's been a partial firing, right? But they just move people around, some chess pieces. Nothing has changed majorly. Nope. Let's run through these first before we start talking about what they are, because I want to get into them individually as we go through them one by one. That they were going to break up the FBI's intelligence functions. You know, Patel promised to dismantle the Bureau's intelligence divisions and redistribute them to other agencies, arguing they have been misused for political ends. He said he was going to implement major reforms of Section 02 surveillance authority. He said he was going to end the two-tier system of justice, remove weaponization of the intelligence community, prosecute leaders and journalists who broke the law, withhold FBI funding until transparency is achieved, hold media accountable for election interference or lies. We are just weeks away, folks, from the whole process starting over again. Once we get through the holidays, once we get that done and over with, then the primaries start back up. Now, you're not going to pay attention to them. That's not what your role is right now. Your role is to get through the holidays. See, everybody's doing special functions and things right now politically, having people get together right before the holidays because they know that nobody will pay attention to it during the period. But as soon as we come out on the other side, the focus for people is going to be political people is going to be on the primary. That's their focus. And then within about 6 to 10 weeks of the primary, you're going to start seeing those ads popping up. Now, with as contentious as this next year is going to be, that may have already started in some states. You may already see those ads rolling across your TV screens. It's a machine. It's a process. There's timelines that are in place. I know these because I used to work by them or set them myself. There's a season. There's a structure. Right? And once we start this new season, the 2026 season, guess what happens? The shit that they promised in 2024 gets swept under the rug. Why? Because they got to make new promises for what they're going to do for the next 2 and 4 and 6 years. Bongino made promises as well, but Cash is the leader. I'm holding him accountable. The same thing with Bondi. Now, for those of you who say that, you know, Cramer, it takes time to get these investigations done. They've got to go through the grand juries. Really? It takes 2 years to get to the point that we are today of nothing happening. Well, they did the thing with Comey. Yeah. Where's it going? That's going to be dismissed. That's never going to happen, folks. I think that we're going to have to wrap our head around the facts that some of the promises that have been made to us are being broken. And we've got to start thinking about what our next step is as we the people. Are we going to accept this? Is this acceptable? Isn't it time to show Trump, show the Republican Party, show MAGA, show everybody, show the left, show the bureaucracy, show the deep state that we're done with this bullshit, that we're not playing these games anymore? The push that I've been making for the last few weeks, folks, is that anybody but the incumbent. Anybody but the incumbent. Why would you say that, Cramer? Because we have no chance of fixing the things with the people that are already there. Haven't you learned that? That's what tonight's show is about. If Patel wanted to fix these issues, he'd fix these issues. If he wanted to get to the bottom of the Epstein files and clear all that up and be 100% transparent so we could all see it and not be doing these shenanigans where, well, yeah, they've got tens of thousands of hours of tapes and videos and there's nothing. We have absolutely nothing. And the FBI is not implicated in anything whatsoever. Folks, that's not normal. I study people. That's what I do for a living. It's what I've done my entire life. I study people and I watch people. I do a lot of talking on this show, and I do a lot of talking when we're amongst people, but when I'm out by myself, I just watch people. Their mannerisms. They'll tell you exactly who they are 10 seconds before they even say it if you watch them close enough. The CIA analysts, those people trained to do that, they'll tell you the exact same thing. They can see it. They know what all the tells are. If you study people long enough, you know what the tells are. I'm fearful that by looking at the tells of Kash Patel, that he is a deer in the headlights. Or he's been leveraged. Or he's been informed that the world that he thought existed of, justice and honor does not exist at the levels that he's playing at now. Do you remember his appearance at the press conference right after Charlie Kirk's assassination, where he flew across the nation to go to a press conference that he chose not to speak at? Do you think that's because maybe, just maybe, he realized at that moment, the moment that he read what they were saying, these two lovers had shared with each other in their text, that one's old man was going to be so upset that he had lost this gun, this rifle? Do you think that the reason he had the deer in the headlights is not because the FBI is rudderless? It's not that it's rudderless. It can't be ruddered. It's ruddered by somebody else. Is it possible that that's what we're learning in this nation? And that's the reason that Kash Patel can't deliver on any of these promises that he made, all these promises. He said he was going to do all this. He hasn't done any of it. Fire the top ranks of the FBI, partial. Some senior leadership shifts reported in the first 200 days. But as of December 2025 leaked memo, this one we're talking about, former agents described the Bureau as internally paralyzed by fear under Patel, with no mass firings confirmed. Bongino's advisory role has drawn clown criticism, suggesting even more purges. Or uneven purges, I'm sorry. He said he's going to shut down the FBI headquarters and turn it into a museum. No action taken. H quarter remains operational. Patel has referenced changes and reforms in his ex-post, but no shutdown plans advanced. You see, I get these reports as well. And the groups that I work with, they go through and they go, well, he delivered on this, he didn't deliver. I said, well, break it down for me exactly what he did. What he promised, what happened. So break up the FBI's intelligence functions. That was one of the things he said was most dangerous. Remember that? That we could not have that in a free nation. In a free society, we couldn't have people that had these capabilities to use against us. And he's been in office how long? We're getting ready to go into the midterms. We're going on 2 years, folks. In political, we're going on 2 years. The brand new cycle begins. They start to sweep the shit from back there under the rug. We're going to be 6 years away from 2020. You think this shit's ever going to get covered up or ever get taken care of? Not at the pace that they're moving. FBI's intelligence functions, have they been torn apart? No. No restructuring. Implement major reforms to Section 702 surveillance authority. Not delivered. Zero public progress. Patel September 2025 Senate testimony emphasized tools for crushing violent crime but omitted FISA Section 702. Remember the stuff that was most dangerous, that they couldn't allow that? That as a citizen on the outside, when he was one of us saying, guys, if you let me back in there, I'm going to fix this, and this. Either he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, or the system is too big to be fixed. It owns him. It owns Bongino. It owns the rest of them. It's looking more and more like these agencies of the executive branch are owned by someone other than the president. Doesn't it look like that? That's what it looks like to me. It's looking right now like Comey and his gang are still running the FBI. He was going to end the two-tier justice system, partial. Some high-profile cases advanced. James Comey and Letitia James. However, the dismissal of these cases looks like the FBI is nothing more than a bunch of Keystone cops. Again, this is what they promised to do coming in. They haven't done any of it. And the stuff that they've done has fizzled, melted right in front of them. Now, folks, at some point, you do that one time, maybe a mistake. You do that twice, coincidence. You do it 3 times, that's a fucking pattern. This is where we are. We're in the pattern zone right now. They're not delivering on the promises that they made to get in the positions that they're in. So if they're not delivering on those promises, what are they doing? Why are they there? Because they're not working for us if they're not delivering on these promises. These promises are part of the contract that they made with America. No different than when I go into a client and I say, oh, you need this, or you need that, you need this. We'll get it done. Don't worry. Give me your fucking money. It's the same thing. That's what happens on the election. You want this, you want this, you want this, got it. Trump's doing his thing. RFK Jr.'s doing his thing. Tulsi Gabbard's doing her thing. The others among the administration. I see them doing their thing. Pete Hegseth is having a blast, literally blowing narco-terrorists out of the fucking sea and answering like a savage when these fucking morons ask him stupid questions about why can you do that? That's a war crime. It's not a war crime, folks. They made fucking movies about the authority of the president to do what we're talking about. Ever watch that movie with Tom Hanks where he's the captain of a ship and the Somalis come in and take over? Who do you think killed those men without a warrant? Just came in and shot them on those boats, blew up their boats, shot them with sniper rifles, killed them all. Who did that? On whose authority? The president's authority. He didn't need Congress. That's not an act of war. These are pirates. They are on the open seas, you fucking morons. The left are so fucking stupid. The most educated group of stupid people you will ever meet in your entire life. And they are so sure that they're right while they're being so wrong. War criminal, war criminal. As I talked about last night, what they did with Trump is they just keep ratcheting up the names. It's got to be one more, one more, one more. They never stick. What are the names they've given Trump? Do you know what those are? Fascist, dictator, pig, orange boy, clown boy. What was the other one? Cheeto. They've got all kinds of names for him. Little man hands. We did a top 20 search to find out what the top 20 terms used for Trump were. They've got 21 terms now. War criminal's the new one. Why do they use these terms? Why do they call him a fascist? Why do they call him a dictator? Simple. For the same reason they call him a war criminal. They're morons. They have no understanding of their history. They have no understanding of law. They have no understanding of the authority of the president. They're idiots, folks, and you shouldn't take them serious. Not at all. Patel told us he was also going to remove the weaponization of intelligence community against the American people. Partial. He's released 200 plus pages of documents to Congress, that happened in October of 2025, on past investigations, and vowed to expose weaponizers with 38,000 pages delivered, but reports of ongoing rudderless keep coming back to the same thing. Now, I'm not one of those people that jump in and believe what I hear when I hear somebody who doesn't like Patel and Trump and MAGA and the rest of them. When they report, these never-Trumpers and these rhinos and the far left, when they report and they say something negative, I always take it with a grain of salt, right? Tongue in cheek. Okay, what are they saying and what's really going on? What's the real story here? So I go digging to find out what it is. And here's the thing. What they're all saying is, yeah, there were some good points too. That these people said that, well, yeah, the FBI is doing great here, 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 and here, but in things that matter, they seem to be lacking. Now, folks, I'm going to speak up and give you my personal opinion. You know how shy I generally am about that, but I'm going to be real clear here. This was promised. This was what was most important to us. The rest of what you're talking about, Mr. Patel, FBI Director Patel, is this. Your job. What we expect the FBI to do, what they were supposed to be doing the entire time. Now, the fact that you've gotten your boys and girls all excited about doing their jobs again, and they're out in the field doing them, perfect. That's what we pay for. That's what we expect. Bragging to me about how great, this is what I never got. When I was a young man, I worked with a group, and we would go into locations, in particular, work with people who worked with the customers directly all the time, worked with the public on a regular basis. And it was astonishing to me, and I was a very young man at the time. And it was astonishing to me when I would walk in and one of them, an employee, there was always be one or two, all right, and it was generally the Karen, but one or two on staff that would just brag over and over about how good they were at customer service. And after about 20 minutes of hearing her go on and on and on about how good she is at customer service, I finally said, you know what, that's what they expect. What you're doing, what you're proud of, is the minimum that our customers expect. Did you get that? Being treated right, being treated fairly. If you ask for something on a shelf, there's someone to ask to help get it down. They can come and help you. You're expected to do that. That's your job. You can't brag about doing your job. That's what Patel is doing here. He's bragging about the things we already expect him to do. That's what your mission is. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what it says in the documents that created the FBI. Here's what you're relegated to do. Go do it. So don't sit around and brag about what you're supposed to do. Tell me where we are here, Patel. Tell me where we are here, Bongino. Do you know why I'm screaming and yelling about this? Simple. Because we are just months away from them asking for our support and money again. And they haven't delivered on the last time. Oh, well, that's different. No, it's not. Think about it. Republicans want your vote to continue doing what they're not doing. But no. How do we get our mission back in there? Anybody but the incumbent. How do we get our voice to Washington, D.C.? Anybody but the incumbent. How do we change shit at home? Anybody but the incumbent. That's the only way it happens. These people have proven they are incapable of fixing the problem that they created. They can't do it, folks. They're not the people who fix the problem. They're not the mechanics. They're the crazy idiots who wrecked the car, who trashed the car, who put it in, low and then try to go through the mountains as fast as they can, downhill the entire way with a trailer behind them. See how that affects the transmission. That's who these people are. But they're not doing it with their car. They're doing it with our country. They're doing it with you, your future, your kids' future. That's what they're doing it to. And then the entire time, they're enriching themselves. They become richer and richer as they buy books and do speaking tours, and they've got people asking them to come in. I know for sure that to get Kash Patel to come to some event prior to him coming into office, it could be $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $60,000, depending on what the event was, for somebody to show up. Yeah, I'm all about freedom and liberty too when you're paying me $60,000 to show up for an event. You see, I don't do that. Politicians and groups around the state of Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan that have asked me to come speak, I go do it. I speak on my dime, right? Nobody owns me. Now, if I have to travel and stay overnight, they pick up the hotel and they pick up some gas money. But other than that, there's no money involved. Why? This is why I'm doing it, folks. It's not for the money. I already got that. I achieved my American dream years ago. I'm living off the ruins of that because that's what they are. That's what they did during 2020. They put so many businesses and so many family companies into ruins. Companies that have been around for hundreds of years. Mine hadn't been around that long, but there are companies that have been around for hundreds of years, or over 100 years, that overnight had to close because people were afraid of this imaginary thing, this thing called COVID. Remember that? They were so afraid of it. So they said that you have to lose your 100-year-old business, the livelihood of your entire family, the legacy that you've built and that you accepted from other family members, lost. Because these people were afraid. And the reason they were afraid is because they were conditioned to be afraid. They were told things, folks, that we learned were not true in 8th grade science. But still, they did what they were told to do. It's going to happen again. I am not going to sugarcoat where we are in this nation. We are this fucking close to civil war. We are this fucking close to revolution. We are this fucking close to Islam and Muslim and everybody else attacking us. We are the weakest we've ever been. They see us for who we are. You think this gets better with time? No. What it gets better with is kicking out the problem, holding those responsible accountable. Laws without accountability don't mean anything. If laws are only used against people as a weapon because they spoke out or they're the wrong side of this decision or that issue, if that's the only reason that people go to jail anymore in this country as a weapon, then we're already cooked. We're fucked. Now, there's a lot of people who will sit back and they'll tell me, Kramer, I can't share your content because of the way you talk. You cuss too much and you say vulgar things and you have these comparisons. You talk about pussies and dicks. This is the world we live in. I'm a full-grown man. Hopefully, you're a full-grown adult. If at this point in your life you still got problems with words, as we go to war with evil in this nation, you are not going to survive what comes next. Do you understand me? You don't have what it takes. If words are hurting you, you don't have what it takes to do what comes next. Everybody keeps talking about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I asked a buddy today, I said, who are you going to shoot first? That's not how it works. You don't understand how this works. Oh, I got, who are you going to shoot first? Who's your first target? Who are you going to go after? He saw it there for a second. He says, no, I don't know. I went, yeah, exactly. You're just angry, but you're not prepared. Folks, when this thing turns sideways, and I have every reason to believe it's going to turn sideways, that's what I've been doing all day today. Going through intel, looking at, oh my God, that doesn't look good, that doesn't look good. This is part of it. The reason that we're in the situation that we're in is because so many of these people are still entrenched into the systems of our nation. Dan Bongino does not have, Kash Patel does not have control of the FBI. He doesn't have it, folks. And Pam Bondi, she didn't have control of the Department of Justice. She doesn't have it. It's in the hands of others. It's not in the hands of the elected officials. It's in the hands of the bureaucrats, the deep state. And they're doing whatever the fuck they want to do, and they're slow rolling whatever they want to slow roll. You know what wouldn't surprise me if we were able to go in Doge and find out how many of these people are looking into you and I right now. They're taking the next 4 years, this next period of Trump, and they're starting to gather names and put stuff together because they've got a kill list. And I'm not talking about actual homicide. I'm talking about these are the people we have to silence the moment we take over next. You don't think it can happen. You think that we're cool. Oh, everything's good. No, everything isn't good. We are in trouble, folks. This nation is falling, is free falling fast. You've got people in the streets thinking that Trump is a war criminal, that Trump is a dictator, that Trump is a fascist. All because the media says it on a daily basis, screaming, screaming, screaming. And they're in these echo chambers. That's where I spend the majority of my day. I don't go look at conservative stuff. I go see what these crazy fuckers are saying. What are they going to do next? What are they thinking up next? Now they're so desperate to, I don't know the best way to put it. It's got to be desperation. That you got Harry and you got the Krasensteins and all these major influencers. They're all paid shills. They're all getting paid by the DNC. They're all monetizing the system. They're all making millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars at the very least. Lie after lie after lie, and now all they have, nobody believes the lies, so they just take a picture of Trump with his eyes closed as he's leaning forward. We've all done it. Everybody's got a picture like that. And they're putting it out there for the entire world to see. Trump's demented, losing his mind. Look at him. He looks like he's falling asleep at the table. That's all they have, folks. If their policies worked, they'd be bragging about those. They'd be telling you about those. They don't have that. If their ideas worked, they'd be showing you how to implement them on their dime and say, shouldn't we all be doing this? If anything that they have in their agenda worked and was good for you, we the people, we'd be all over that. You see, that's who we are, is we the people. We're pretty self-absorbed. We like to do what's best for us. And what elections tell politicians and those who create the policy, we don't like what you're doing. What you've done is what you've done is destroyed my life. Now, you have two options, and I think this is the message that American politicians should fully understand. We are a nation built on revolution. Our founding fathers were felons. You Democrats, those of you on the left, you think that calling Trump a felon offends us? No, we know our history. We know who we are. We know what our values are. They don't flip from one day to the other based on what we're being told to do on social media. Our core values remain solid. You're about to find out about those values values, the more you keep pushing.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it, please visit thecramersezproject.com.
The price of plastic is going up, way up.
It costs more for everything they want to do. It doesn't make any economic sense.
And no, it's not because of Trump's tariffs or the wars around the globe. It's because corporations like Walmart and Colgate have swallowed the left's recycling fairy tale, hook, line, and sinker.
I'm Paul Chesser, director of the National Legal and Policy Center's Corporate Integrity Project.
At this year's shareholder meetings, the National Legal and Policy Center decided to do something radical, like saying the quiet part out loud.
We're bringing these proposals to bring truth to where there's been a lot of lies and light where there's been a lot of darkness.
So what exactly is the left's big lie? That endlessly recycling plastics is sustainable, magical, and saves the planet. Now, here's the truth.
Companies like Walmart and Colgate are following a playbook by the environmental left who believe that there's an infinitely circular economy that can be created by endlessly recycling plastics.
Spoiler! The left's magical circular recycling economy is actually a black hole that swallows big profits and spits out higher prices.
It costs more for everything they want to do. It doesn't make any economic sense. Forcing recycling into the whole process of plastic packaging is bad for the consumers, it's bad for the shareholders, and it's bad for the planet.
Logic isn't what these companies are after. They want praise from activist investors and ESG cultists. Meanwhile, real shareholders like the NLPC are left to clean up the mess.
The political left have driven these corporations leftward on the recycling issue and specifically with plastics packaging.
The NLPC proposed a revolutionary idea. Use science and economics before you blow millions on virtue signaling. Genius, right?
We are calling for an injection of truth and objective scientific and economic analysis that can be considered seriously and drive down costs as opposed to driving up costs that these shareholder proposals from the left have brought in.
And what's the goal? Simple. Lower costs, fewer emissions, and actual results. Not glossy brochures full of woke buzzwords and mythical outcomes.
It's unrealistic, and so our proposal calls for truth in recycling in their policies. That will help reduce the cost of their plastic packaging. It reduces the weight, it lowers emissions, and it does actual environmental improvement by having a real scientific and economic analysis rather than a propaganda approach to plastics policies.
You'd think that would be obvious, but in today's ESG boardrooms, common sense is considered more dangerous than toxic waste.
We act on behalf of ourselves and our fellow shareholders to put true economics and scientific research in all the policies that corporations institute. That improves shareholder return.
And that wraps up this episode of the NLPC Report. For more information or to get in-depth reporting on this story and more, please visit the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
You're watching CramerSez.
You know, they make big promises all the time. That's what politicians do. That's what they're best at. Making promises and telling you how they're going to cut taxes. It's the same old thing. They do it all the time. They tell you what they're going to do for you, how they're going to deliver for you. Tonight we've been talking about what Kash Patel said that he was going to do if we gave him power. He has not delivered upon that. Why not? Why hasn't he delivered? Well, there's generally a reason for that, folks. We call it being owned, being leveraged. There's a reason. Now, it doesn't matter what that reason is. You think it does. It doesn't. If I were to go out on a limb and take a guess, I'd have to imagine that there's a group of people that took him out for a drink one night and told him how the world really works. Here's the thing, folks. D.C. is not our problem. You think it is, because that's where all the news is. That's what the focus is on. Every day, Fox News, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MS Now, because MSNBC told too many lies and they had to rebrand because nobody believed their shit. Oddly, they didn't change anybody. Did you notice that? They kept all the same people. They just rebranded. That's what they just did in Congress. That's what we just did in the last election. Have you seen anything change? We've seen a lot of stuff happen with DNI, what Tulsi Gabbard's doing. We've seen a lot of stuff happen with what's going on with Robert Kennedy, but we haven't seen much happen with the Republican tier of the Trump administration. Those who told us in our meetings that we're going to do this, those are in our Zoom calls, we're going to do that. If you give us power, if you give us authority, we'll do these things. Folks, if they wanted to, they would. If they really wanted to do these things, they would do them. It's a lesson my dad taught me a long time ago. If they wanted to invite you to the birthday party, Tim, they would have. They didn't want to. Now, my dad was savage, but he set me up for the real world. I see it for what it is. You see, one of the reasons I've been successful in life is because I know how to be kindly ruthless. Do you know what that means? When I see in your deal that you've left me a window open, I'm going to wiggle in and take what I can. You've left some money on the table, I'm going to go in there and take that. That's mine. You're too stupid. But I don't take it all. I'm not greedy. These folks are greedy. They want it all. They want everything that's on your table, my table, and any table that's ever been made. They want it all. They want it all for themselves so they can say, I've got the most. It's all mine. Now, do you think that you can solve that problem by worrying about what's going on in Washington, D.C.? Raise your hands if you've actually ever been there. Just once. Been to Congress, you walked the halls, you've been through there, you talked to your congressmen and your senators. Have you done any of that? No, you haven't. Most people haven't. Why? Because they expect somebody else to go do that for them. Somebody else is going to do that. I've got to go work. I've got to go do this. I've got to go do that. So that doesn't work. We've realized that process of expecting total strangers that we don't know to go to Washington, D.C. and defend our rights for us. Do you know how you get that to be done and you don't even have to leave home? You start demanding it at home first. The corruption that we see in Washington, D.C., where do you think that came from? Do you think that originated there? No, it arrived there. The same stuff that's going on in the Capitol is going on in your state capitals. The same thing going on in your state capitals is happening in your town halls. There's corruption everywhere, folks. It's everywhere. In fact, it's so corrupt that a buddy of mine says, he goes, I'm looking at the numbers here, Tim, and he goes, I don't know how we get past killing 128 million people to get back to the core, that's just in this country, by the way, of where we can see commonality with each other. He says we're dealing with people who have gotten to the point where killing a baby the day of its birth is okay, that they can justify that. He goes, someone who can justify that can justify walking me into a gas chamber. No thank you. Now, as I've been talking for the last several months, I want you to understand I am not calling for revolution. I am not calling for civil war. What I'm telling you is it's coming regardless of whether I want it or not. How do I know? You can see the wisps in the air of the flames beginning. That's what we're seeing. When we see major names like General Flynn or Tucker Carlson or Sean Ryan or Elon Musk start to tell you very specific things and warn you, ask the question, what option does a man have left if you silence his voice and you take away his vote? What option does a man have left? Tucker says we don't have any. There's only one option. What option do you think that is? That is the language of our founding fathers. You see, this is how polite men tell one another across the airwaves, you better back down. That's how you warn the bully. See, I'm not a violent person. I can be very violent, instantly. Everything that I've held back all these years, the person I used to be, comes pouring out all at once. There's a lot of us like that. Men who have checkered past that cleaned up our lives and live by a very rigid set of rules. Why? We have to. We can't trust ourselves. If we don't live by these rules, the demon gets out. When the demon gets out, we get in trouble. because we don't take shit from anybody. You ever met that guy who wanted to fight all the time? Mm-hmm. I quieted that demon quite a few years ago, but you can still tell it's there, right? Folks, there's a lot of men like myself, and this is the way that we tell our government, the bully on the playground, we're not doing this shit anymore. You work for us. Now, these men think that because of their position and because of their power and their connections, that they can still push these levers and do what they're doing. That's what's happening right now with this report on Kash Patel. They're doing exactly what they did with the 51 former intelligence officials. They're doing the exact same thing. Democrats on the left, they're not real smart. How do I know? Because they repeat the same things over and over and over again. The issue is that they're so scared and they're doing things so sloppily now. For example, the Charlie Kirk murder. Everything's so sloppy. It's happening faster and faster and faster. This is what I've warned you about for the last several years, that this is how it'll happen. Nothing, and then everything all at one time. It's going to be the hockey stick. It's just going to take off violence, crime, everything. It's their last best effort to get things back. Now, people go, well, why would they want that? Because the people controlling things don't care what side wins. You get that right. They don't have a side. They pit us against each other. And then as the dust clears, they come in and they buy up the pieces and they take over what's left. And give you pennies on the dollar for this and pennies on the dollar for that. And they start the whole process over again. This is not new, folks. What we are going through is a civilization downgrade. And it's not just happening in this nation. It's happening globally. Look at what's going on in Great Britain. Look at what's going on in Scotland, what's going on in Ireland, what's going on in France. All of the Western nations, what's happening all at the same time. They're falling apart. They're falling apart because the system that we've been built on, where they're stealing from all of us and enriching themselves. How do so many men that do nothing become worth so much? Well, they deal in secrets and lies and innuendo, smears. That's how they do it. They start a war over here, tell these people over here that it's their fault. That war cost their gas prices to go up. For that, you've got to hate them and give money to these people so these people can kill those people. Sound familiar? That's what they just did with Ukraine and Russia. Trump said that he wanted to be the president with no new wars. He did that the first time around. We made it. No new wars under Trump. That was one of his big deals. Remember that? We're not going to be so lucky this time. Why? Well, because the people who want the wars, the people who monetize the wars, the people who leverage death to pay their mortgage, they want the wars. And when these people want something, they get what they want. Why? They are the richest and most powerful people on the face of the earth. Alex Jones has been warning you about them for years. You know, remember we first looked at Alex and all thought we thought Alex was a little crazy. He was a little insane. Should be wearing a tinfoil hat. From time to time, he has. But he was right a lot. Now, I don't bring you the same intel that Alex Jones does. He's good at that. Let him continue doing what he's doing. What I will tell you is that from the psychological point, from the point of manipulating minds, which is what I've done in advertising and marketing my entire life, they are pouring on the heat right now. That's why the new thing is war criminal. He's a war criminal. We got to get him as a war criminal. Just like Hitler. Like I said, they're not real creative, but they are ruthless. They will continue to do this until it doesn't benefit them anymore. The moment that their base realizes that, you know, they're all full of shit, and I think a lot of them have. I think the Democrat Party has bled people over the last couple of years, seeing the crazy that they've allowed. Now, how does it get better? Well, it gets better by you playing your part. You can't sit back this time, folks. You're going to end up in the streets one way or the other. You better realize it. You're either going to be in the streets protesting and supporting, standing up for your rights and your liberties, or you're going to be standing in a food line at some point. There's no other option. We either turn the brakes on this thing and turn it around and get it in the right direction, or we just give up on it. Because we cannot return to what the Democrats, what the globalists, what the rhinos had in mind for us. They told us what it is. They haven't changed their plan. That plan continues to move forward. If you think that the New World Order, the WEF, EF and the WHO, if you think they had slinked off into the shadows now that Trump's in place, nope, they're still doing what they're doing. They've got plans for you, and it includes owning nothing and being happy. And they're not real crazy about having to deliver on that happy part. Remember, these people are liars. They told you that your insurance was going to be less. Remember when Obama told you that the savings from rooting out all of the waste, fraud, and abuse, that was going to pay for the program? That you'd get the best insurance in the world. Do you know what my insurance just went to? See, I didn't work for the last 4 years. So my wife put it on Obamacare. She goes, it's the cheapest option. We were paying something like $480 a month or something like that. Okay, I can do that. But they brought it up to $1,800 a month. That's what the new rate is. That's what happens when you allow people into your lives telling you from the government that they're going to save you money. In December, my payment, right? My payment in December, $480 some dollars. My payment for January, almost $1,900. Okay, do the math real quick in your head. I round up, that's $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 a year. I am not paying $24,000 a year. No way, shape, or form to get $1,600 worth of medications for free. Because that's what it works out to. Well, what if something happens? I've got $24,000 in the bank. We're going to save the money. I've got the money. It's coming out of my account. I still have it. I'm just going to save it. It's not going to somebody else in case something happens. Well, what if something happens? Then I'm going to give them the money I got in the bank. But they're not getting any more insurance from me. I'm not doing that anymore. And if I die before that account gets depleted, it goes to my kids. Fuck you, motherfuckers. I'm not playing this game anymore. This is what I said. This is how you take your ball, leave, and go home. Okay, these are the new rules. Yeah, not playing here, cunts. I'm moving down over here. I'm playing over here. I'm not playing by these crazy rules that you've set up to enrich yourselves. Not going to do it. Now, the best way to do that, folks, is that you've got to take charge. And the way that you take charge is by saying no. You don't get to return to Congress, motherfucker. You didn't do what you said you were going to do. And the way that you do that is you term them out. You term limit them. You do that by voting in the primary. Indiana, in the last primary, in the last election, in the primary in 2024, only 9% of registered GOP voters voted in the primary. You lazy fucking cucks. You're the same people who will stand around a fucking bar or a water cooler or any place that anybody will listen to you and bitch and moan about how everything is so bad, and when given the opportunity to change it and get the motherfuckers out that are fucking you on a yearly basis, what do? You stay at home on Tuesday. You don't have time to go vote on Tuesday in the primary. No, you're going to do your patriotic act in the fall when the parties are warring it out. You see, the spring is the people's election. That's when we get to choose. The party tries to choose too. They put their guy in too. But if your guy is more popular and has a better message and tells everybody, listen, I'm actually going to go to whatever office that they're campaigning for. I'm going to go do that job, and these are the standards I'm going to use. And if I don't get the job done, vote me out in 2 years. Vote me out in 4 years. Vote me out in 6 years. Listen, that's the way I'd be. If I ever ran for office, you've given me this term. I'm going to do everything I can in this term to do everything that I promised to do. You'll have a report from me on a regular basis as to where we are, what we've completed, what we've done, what we haven't done, and why. What are the obstacles? What do we need to overcome? You see, that's the kind of thing that I do going into a business. We never stop. Do you know why? Because folks, business never stops. Government does. Government stops all the time. We just saw it just stop here recently. Holiday comes in, they can stop. Nobody needs them. The government just showed us how much they're not needed. For 40 days, they showed us how little these people are needed. Now, if you're trying to get a loan from the SBA, yeah, it's trouble. I know that. I'm going through that right now. I'm selling a building. The people who we contracted, government shuts down, and because they didn't get their ducks in a row before, well, they got fucked. They told me everything was ready, so we gave them an extension. We'll find out tomorrow if that deal's going to happen. It comes close on the 5th. It's supposed to close on the 5th. I don't think it's going to be there. Again, they blamed it on the government shutdown. These are all Democrats. Democrats are buying my building. They were blaming it on Trump, and I was very vocal. I don't care if you buy my building or not. As I keep telling you guys, I'm rich. That building is a historical building. I can sit there and sit on it for a couple more years, and somebody will come in and buy it. It'll eventually get sold. And I'll just take the write-off. Pay the note every month and just take the write-off. We've gotten to the point in our nation, folks, where we're afraid of the people who are supposed to be working for us. We're fearful that if we speak out or speak up, that they'll come for us. You're right, they will. That's why you have to speak up. Folks, if you get one bully on the playground, just one, they grow. See, because what happens is friends become friends with the bully just so they can push you around and they got somebody to back them up. That's how the bully thing works. It's no different in government. When we hear about the 51 former officials or this new letter from these FBI insiders and former FBI agents, and they're saying that it's rudderless and Kash Patel is doing a terrible job, that's the deep state. That's where it is, folks. What Kelly and Slotkin and the rest of the seditious six just did, that's the deep state. That's how they do what they do. The 51 former intelligence officials, that's the deep state. Now, do you think that you can root those out of D.C. yourself? Do you think that you and I can root those people out? Do you think if we went to war, had a civil war, a revolution with these people, that we'd be able to root them out? We wouldn't. Now, the best way to get them out is to pull them out through the law. But that's not going to happen with the current system that we have. It can't. These people are not going to do anything that rocks the boat to their status quo. I know, I've been in the meetings. I've seen them. You've seen them. You've seen the scientists that had information about COVID, had information about these vaccines, and refused to bring it forward because, well, it might hurt me. I've got a few more years. I can retire. Maybe after I retire, maybe I'll do it then. We've got a lot of weak men in this nation. We got a lot of weak men in this nation. Has nothing to do with gender other than men are the ones who, they make the change, folks. We're at a position in our country where what you better wrap your head around is change is coming, and it's coming fast. Nothing, and everything all at once. Are you prepared for that? Now, here's the thing. I'm not selling you food supplements. I don't have a grab bag or a goodie bag to give you and say, here, this is what I'm selling. I'll get you taken care of. I'm not. That's not my job. That's your job. My job is I'm the canary in the coal mine. People that do what I do and are telling the truth like this on a daily basis, coming to you on a regular basis, telling you what's going on and informing you of what's happening next, folks. We are the modern day Paul Revere's. The globalists are coming. The globalists are coming. The globalists are coming. I'm ready. Are you? I know what my line is. Do you? My line is I'm not bowing to Islam. My line is I'm not taking a digital ID. And the moment that they start to push that shit on me, people got to die. I'm sorry. That's the way it works. But Kramer, you're making threats. No, it's always a warning. Do not force these on us. We didn't vote for them. We don't want them. We are a free people. We are the last bastion of freedom on this nation. We're not going to do what the communists do in China. We're not signing on to that system where we follow our neighbor and watch every fucking footstep they make. We're not doing that. How do I know? Because I'm not doing that. I refuse to be a slave to anyone. We're done, folks. This is how quiet men come forward and tell you. You've heard the parable of the quiet man. I've been a quiet man for a long time. I sat back and watched everything happen, kept my mouth shut. No longer. For the last 5 years, I've been screaming at the top of my lungs. They've told you what they're going to do to you. You should believe them. Have you been watching the bravery that's spread across the Islam world here in the U.S.? Suddenly they're coming out on their front lawns and rattling their sabers. That's what that's called. You ever heard that term? Rattling their sabers? Do you know what that term is used for? When you hear the enemy rattling their sabers, you know they're ready to fight. That's what the Muslims are doing in our streets today. They're going to start showing us who we are, right? They're going to show us who we are to them. They're going to prove it so they know when it's time to act. How much will you take? How much of the bully will you take in Great Britain right now? Islam will come in, Muslims will come in and take over an entire street, start praying their bullshit during a Christmas celebration. Why are they doing that? Because in their religion, that is the equivalent of peeing on your grave or spitting in your face, wiping shit across your mouth. That's the equivalent, folks. That's what they're doing to you. Now, you don't notice it. You don't think it because they're over there jibber jabbering in their, durka language and they're talking this way and that way and you don't know what the fuck they're saying. But they're making fun of you. They're laughing at you. They're calling you a fool for allowing them to do what they're doing to you. They're not just pissing on you. They're pissing on every man, woman, and child who has given their life for the nation to get where it is right now. That's who these people are. They don't respect the nation that they're in. They don't respect anywhere they are. That's why they change it to their 7th century religion. Call it progress. Still waiting on the Muslim space program or the Muslim Cancer Research Center or the Muslim whatever that does anything good for people. Where's that? When are we going to see that start happening? And not this care group that's funded by all of the terrorist groups that show up when the terrorists bomb each other. Folks, you've got to start standing up with your voice. That's been my message. It doesn't change. Kash Patel, I thank him for what he's done to this point. But he hasn't done what he said he was going to do. The most important things, the reason that we brought him on board, he hasn't done that. And for that, we call him in on the carpet. Why? Because I'm his employer. He's my employee. That's the structure. I didn't make it up. I didn't make the rules, but I do enforce them. Thanks for joining me. If you want to find out more about what's going on with the CramerSez Project, please join us over at the CramerSezProject.com. You can see it down here on the screen, the CramerSezProject.com. We'll see you over there, and I will join you again here in the next few days. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Kramer Says Live.
This concludes this broadcast.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to be notified the next time
The CramerSez Project goes live.